Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Cult Film Review. I'm your host, Cody Everett, and this week I need you to grab your shopping carts. I need you to grab your sleeping bag. And I need you to grab your best liquor because we're hiding under a bridge. We just took a train into the wrong town and we're talking about Hobo with a shotgun this week on Cult Film Review. And you know what? Let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, we're here this week talking about Hobo with a shotgun. Let's get into it. I want to talk about this movie. Excited to talk about this movie. So Hobo with a Shotgun, if you're not aware, is about a hobo who takes the last train in to a very crappy town.
What's it called?
Scum Town.
Yeah.
And
it's also referred to as Fuck Town.
And Hope Town. So he takes the train there. It's a very bad place. He decides he doesn't like the crime, and he really just wants to buy a lawnmower so he can start his lawn service
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that was for?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to start his own business.
He wanted to be like a lawn care.
Oh, see,
specialist.
I took it as he was like envisioning a perfect life and like having a lawn to mow.
No, he
and,
says in the
family.
movie that he wants to
He,
start a business.
Yeah, he says, I just want to get my own more. He wants
I must
to,
be-
he wants
must
to
have been
earn his
playing-
way, Kyle.
I must have been playing some like game on my phone when that happened.
God,
You're
yeah.
obsessed.
Anyways, so he doesn't like that, and he goes on a killing rampage, basically cleaning the town up.
Yeah.
So that's the synopsis. If you haven't seen it,
What's
real
the?
quick.
I love the headline in the newspaper that flies up, like Hobo demands change, which is like a funny like it was a double entendre or something.
All right, so thanks, Chris.
Does that not make
No,
sense? to
I
everybody?
understand. I totally understand what you're saying.
No,
Okay.
no, it was very clever. It was probably the only clever thing in this movie.
What was justice one shell at a time? I liked that.
I kind of want to talk about the how this movie came to be and the director a little bit. So how this movie came to be was basically a Grindhouse film. He won the director Jason. What's his last name?
Eisner.
Basically won a contest in Canada. He made a fake trailer, Hobo with a Shotgun, and got it on the Grindhouse films that Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez made, and it played throughout Canada, basically. And then he got funding to make the feature-length portion of the movie.
It's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, it is.
Is he known for, what else is he known for?
Treevenge.
Treevenge, right.
Yeah, which I think is one of the best short films ever made, and I'm really jealous. I love it. When I watch
like
films
it
that
too.
I'm super like impressed by, I'm like,
Kung Fury's the
dude,
best
I need
short
to
film
step
ever
my
made.
fucking game up because these guys are killing it out. Yeah, Kung Fury's another one. I felt the exact same way. Like,
Yeah, but that one's definitely the best short film ever made. I mean, Treevenge was.
We can't make that.
I can say an opinion.
Do you know how many short films
I'm allowed.
are out
I'm
there?
allowed
so
to
many.
say.
There's
I'm allowed
so
to
many.
say an opinion. I'm not saying this is law.
I don't know. There's a pretty good one called The Greatest Lie Ever Told. You can find it on YouTube. That's pretty damn good.
check it out.
Check it out. So
Yeah, I mean, like to be able to get an opportunity based on a short film is pretty rare. Like, you have to have something, and that's what I think. You could see it in Treevenge, you could see it in that early trailer, and then he like translates it into a feature.
Yeah.
because he finally has funding now.
who'd seen this movie before? This is my first watching of it.
I had seen it before.
I had seen it.
I
before.
also had seen it.
Okay, so everybody had seen it for me. So I just want to give a brief backstory of kind of like how I was going into this movie. I really had no preconceived notion. I knew it was going to be violent. Obviously, its title gives that away. And before I even watched it, I did not know it was like a Grindhouse trailer at all. I just thought it was a movie called Hobo with a Shotgun.
Mhm.
I read the synopsis and I was like, this sounds awesome. And the opening scene with him just riding on the train is awesome. That's when you get like the color, the Technicolor,
Mhm.
the oversaturation, and like that. Just those shots are just awesome, and the colors are really awesome.
Kind of feels like an old movie.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It definitely has that.
Yeah.
vibe.
It definitely has that. Like it's like the early '80 vibe.
Yeah.
Like 1980. Definitely gave that off to me as far as like the look of it.
Like they shot it on a red, but they used some kind of processing to make it more to fit that style. You know, that's the way that film looked from that era.
Yeah. And that whole thing started great. And then people started talking. And it just went downhill from there.
Why?
Yeah.
Because I think, like, I don't want to give my rating away, as Mike would say. But,
No, go ahead. I do it every time. I do it every time.
Here's my thing with it, right? It's one thing to pay homage, right? I look at paying homage as taking, like, I thought he was going into it with a very serious direction of, like cool, you're going to take this and turn it, a Grindhouse story into a serious kind of story with Grindhouse elements to it, if that makes sense, right? Because paying homage is not just, like, ripping everything off, basically. Like, and I feel like that's what he did. He was like, we're making a cult film. Like, look, like it was so in your face and just so blatant.
Wait a second though, but if you've seen Treevenge, like that's his style.
I don't like Treevenge.
It doesn't matter whether or not you like it or not. You're making it sound like he like this is not his style of filmmaking, and he just kind of like
borrowed
from
everybody else.
And how's that any different than what Quentin
come on,
Tarantino does
oh my
or
God,
anybody does?
The script was like, I swear to God, the script was a blatant trauma ripoff. A lot of it was.
I'm sure
the way the characters
I'm sure he's
acted
definitely influenced by trauma style films.
Yeah, there's definitely being influenced, but like it's too much. It's too much.
That's too over the top for you.
So
like Toxic Avenger, I mean, like I would even put it right in the same.
See, Toxic Avenger's not trying. He's trying too hard.
So do you think Street Trash is doing that too?
No.
Why would Street Trash not be doing that?
I feel like Street Trash was organic. This is not organic. We're trying to.
Why? Because it was made in 2011 and not in 1984.
No, like I said, he didn't do anything new with it. Like you're paying homage is like you have elements of it. You're not just have like you're pushing it. All the buttons to hit the cues. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right.
Yes.
Kyle, if you want to jump in on this, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but
no, I'll stay out of it.
Wow. Okay.
No, I mean I see where you're coming from, and I agree with you to a certain extent. It is over the top. But at the same time, it's the same thing that Quentin and Robert Rodriguez did with the Grindhouse release film, double feature film.
Did it 1,000 times better, though.
Well, it's fucking Robert Rodriguez and fucking Quentin Tarantino, you know, like.
And this was $3 million, and those were probably a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah.
For certain.
Those movies were total financial flops. Yeah, they are.
No, they are.
Yeah. So I can see where you're coming from on that aspect, Cody. I did not like the dialogue either. I didn't think the acting was
the jokes are too
good. I didn't feel like it was. You're right. I don't feel like it took itself seriously enough.
It wasn't
to capture the true vibe of a Grindhouse.
It wasn't organic. If he had tried to take it to yes, it's very forced. Hold on,
wait a second. Film. Is any exploitation film organic?
Exploitation films. Well, exploitation is like is a broad term. I mean, if you're talking about like sexploitation, no, not organic, obviously forced. But if you're talking about like a traditional exploitation where it's just over the top gore and violence, those movies took themselves seriously.
Yeah, they believed they were making good films,
an amazing film, but had buckets of blood to go along with it. This movie didn't do that. This movie was. We're making tongue-in-cheek 100%, nothing serious about this, and it comes across as such.
But I mean, the story is somewhat original. I mean, it's like
what story?
The story of like a drifter. I mean, we've seen it. It's classic, right? Like a drifter comes into town and cleans it up. It's that whole Western theory.
It is, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's a Western,
yeah,
definitely.
So I mean, like,
but it's not a good telling of it.
And isn't there there are deeper messages in this
there
film?
Are,
like,
definitely.
I mean, they might seem.
It would be if you gave
simple.
It would be if you gave Rutger Hauer's character a backstory, but you don't even do that. So how can I care about him?
We don't need that for a drifter.
I needed to care about what happens to his character.
Well,
If I know nothing about his character, why do I
You
care
do.
what
That's
happens?
not-
You
that's
do.
not
His
necessarily true.
monologues
He's the only-
explain somewhat.
he's one-
That's not necessarily true, Cody. Because I mean, do you care about the man with no name, fistful of dollars, and good, the bad, the ugly? Like, do you care about his character? Like
Yeah, but
honestly,
st-
like
but-
you
but there's-
care about him because of the ideals that he stands for.
And I'd also like to argue that we do get some backstory. We know he had a child.
We do.
Yeah, he mentions something
Thank
like,
you.
"I
Yeah, he
used to
share-
have one of you."
He
No,
shares.
he said I used to be one of you.
Yeah, he said,
Oh,
I
no,
used to
be
be
one of you?
Yes.
No, he says I used to be.
Okay,
one
I
of
always
you.
envisioned that he was talking.
No, because he was
that
basically
the whole-
giving them a pep talk about doing something good with your life.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I thought it was like.
See, but
I'm
he's
sorry,
got,
I
we see that
misread
he's
I
got
totally
some
heard
like
that wrong.
poetic moments where he, delivers these monologues, and you know whether he's talking to Molly or not Molly, but Abby. Molly's her real name.
Mhm.
And when he's talking to the infants laying in the the hospital, that kind of gives you some of his backstory, like not maybe like where he came from, but like what kind of person he is.
well, I mean, you don't even need that scene to tell you what kind of person he is, because obviously he's choosing to stand up and do something,
right.
and which I mean, that's a noble act on its own.
Yeah, but it's one of those things like, what makes him a good person? Has he always been this good person, or is this now him just snapping into this good person? You don't get those answers.
Well, you have. I mean, how? Why would he just snap into it?
yeah,
I think you
someone
get
would
a
be
pretty good idea
inherently,
right
like,
off the bat
good.
when he's staring and he's seeing all this horrors that are happening.
Like
in
he's
front of
watching
him
the bum
that he
fight thing. and he's
clearly
like,
doesn't like. Yeah, he's finding this horrific.
yeah.
He's not jumping in and being like, yeah, all right, this is great. Like he clearly has
Disagrees,
reservations
yeah.
against seeing these kind of things.
But he's trying to buy that lawnmower, so he's
Yeah.
got to make money.
So he wants to get that job.
Yes, he wants to do. He basically like wants to do it right, and he rolled into a town where everything is wrong.
Right.
So it's. I mean, I think that's enough story.
yeah. I mean,
I don't-
I like Rutger Hauer's character in this movie.
I like
He's
Rutger
the
Hauer in
only
this
one
movie.
I like in
He's
this movie.
He's the
really.
best actor in this movie, and no one else holds a candle to him, not even close. Which kind of, in my
Oh,
opinion,
the Drake is so good.
no,
dude.
he's
No, he's
not.
not.
Oh
He's
my
fucking horrible.
God, is
I
he
love
terrible?
the Drake. I will
No.
fight this to the death. Like
I actually like.
you
the Drake
think he's
too.
probably really obnoxious or something, but that's obviously how he's supposed to be, and
looks
he
like
does it so well.
He looks like Prune Face from Dick Tracy.
well, and if you haven't already picked up on the style of the film, that is acceptable for this.
It's just no.
And let's
it's-
be honest,
Somebody call Warren Beatty.
Rutger
already.
Hauer is a veteran. Like he's been.
No, he was obviously
He should be the best actor.
Yeah, no, obviously
in
he
a
is.
virtual cast of unknowns, basically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually.
And
Completely.
the two sons should stay unknown.
You didn't think they were decent at what they
No.
were doing?
Oh my God, no.
At what they were doing?
No.
What they were probably asked
I get
to
okay.
do.
Yes, with what they were asked to do, except for the one who plays Ivan, because that dude's just terrible.
Yeah.
Slick
Yeah,
is
no, you're right.
obviously-
Slick is the stronger
Sli-
actor.
Slick is the stronger actor and plays the character better. But the shit that came out of their mouth just made me go, "What the? Are you?" Ugh. Like that's me the whole movie. Just
I'm
God,
really
stop talking.
surprised. I am
Me
very
too.
surprised by your reaction to this film. I think you took this film way too seriously.
No, I didn't. When you're because again, it's not organic. They're shoving the lines down your throat. We're so grindhouse because we're saying cock, dick, and pussy every sentence. Like, look how grindhouse we are.
I'm sorry. I feel that way about every Grindhouse film. That's how I feel about every Grindhouse film.
What they say?
You felt
cock,
that you
dick,
felt
and
you
pussy?
felt that way about Pieces.
Yeah. Well, Pieces is just horrible.
Pieces is a grindhouse film.
It's just horribly written in general.
Dick ripping zombies.
But that's what
Dick
I
ripping
think.
zombies.
That's what I think about when I think
You're
about
saying-
a
you're saying that
grindhouse
he-
film. I think you're
saying
thinking
that
more.
somehow he was a better writer and that he could have written better stuff, but he chose not to because he was specifically trying to have
Yes.
cheesy dialogue.
Yes.
How do you know that though?
The movie, watch it.
well, if you going back to Treevenge, look at the dialogue in that. It's exactly the same style of dialogue. The way it's written is very much equal to
No,
this.
he's definitely influenced by the films that he watches, but I think he mimics too hard and tries to achieve what he likes too much. He's definitely a fan. You can tell that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can tell he's a fan. But I
Yeah.
think he tries too hard to be that, and he doesn't it misses the mark because of it.
Oh.
For
Yeah,
me,
that-
not
no,
everyone.
That's a valid point. I mean, it's good to be a fan of cinema if you're making cinema, but you have to create your own voice while
This movie,
incorporating the elements of the movies you love.
to me, this is like a trauma.
Tarantino
This
and
is like a
Rodriguez do it
trauma
really good.
trauma exploitation fan film.
Okay.
I don't know. I put this in a little bit of a different category than trauma. I see the influence, but I don't really.
The script is like, let's rip every like gross line that they've said in a trauma movie and put it.
But
in
they
the
also
script.
cut in like the endearing moments where it's like actually it is kind of like
They did it with-
serious and touching.
They did that with Toxic Avenger.
Mike has been a collection of and ahs.
Yeah.
So
No, he's really good in this. He's really good this episode.
Yeah.
He's really good this episode.
Okay, so I agree with you with some stuff. Like I hated the line where he says like, "I'm gonna slide that dick into your pussy."
Oh yeah,
Like,
that was
whatever.
really awkward.
I was like, that's stupid. That's stupid. But then
Yes.
I did think that a lot of the monologues that were being said from the hobo were like not horribly written. Like they had some meaning behind them. They had some. They told the story. I don't ever get that from Toxic Avenger. I don't get that ever.
do you think
That anything that he's saying
the-
is serious or ever.
Do you think the monologues that he gave they came off better? Maybe because Rutger Hauer was the one doing it, and since he is a veteran, he tweaked them or just kind of made him feel
Like the
more
the one with
fluid?
the bear.
the
bear when he's talking about he's relating himself to a bear.
I didn't like that at all. I thought that was stupid.
Well, it hits a soft point for me because I'm scared shitless of bears.
Mike was touched.
It's
by
bears
his
and
speech.
dolphins
It's
are
the
my
most
two.
horrifying part of the movie.
Dolphins.
You can kill all those animals.
Dolphins.
Oh Jesus!
Just murder them.
What
Oh
is
my
wrong
God.
with dolphins?
He's gonna
They
come
are-
back next
they
week
are
and tell you to
dirt-
cut all
they-
this out.
Did
They
a
are
dolphin try to
dirty,
rape you at
disgusting-
SeaWorld?
No, but they have to other people.
I know. That's why I asked
And
you if
they
it
have-
happened to you.
They have syphilis. They're dirty creatures.
No,
They're dirty creatures.
I would actually disagree with that, Kyle. I would say that I think they wrote the best lines for Rutger Hauer. I think they may have gone in there and maybe did a rewrite.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
we got a big actor, let's rewrite. Because those are probably the best written parts of the movie.
That would make sense. Like maybe they weren't banking on getting a name, so when they got a known actor, they probably went through and did little script rewrites and stuff.
I mean, that's
I'm
possible.
sure.
We can't
I'm sure.
know that.
We're
We can't know that.
speculating. We're
I-
speculating.
if I was
It's a
shooting
fan
a,
theory.
if I was shooting
Fan
a
theory.
film
Fan
and
theory.
I unexpectedly got Rutger Hauer, damn sure I'd be going back and looking at that script again.
Like, wait a minute. What do I want him to say?
exactly,
Holy shit!
exactly.
Let's just cut all that out right there.
You know? Exactly. Well, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about Hobo with a Shotgun.
You vultures circle this city, tearing off the flesh from everything that is innocent.
Please don't shoot me. I didn't even hurt her.
I want you out of the city. You and your grave-robbing friends. Spread the word.
Hey guys, we're back and we're talking about Hobo with a Shotgun. All right, let's get into some of the technical stuff of it. Like I said earlier, I really enjoy the oversaturation of the colors. It makes the film pop, definitely, and gives a great style. Whoever the cinematographer is too. I enjoyed most of the shots, but I hated there's too many back-to-back zoom-ins of characters whenever they were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand.
And that kind of annoyed me, but everything else was, I thought, shot beautifully.
I feel like that was a very a very late '70s thing that they tapped into for that.
Yeah, but I think they
So-
tapped a little too
They
much.
tapped it too hard.
Yeah.
It was forced.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
it
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
That's what you were saying.
No, it was. Come on, that shot in the movie, 1,000 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's to keep the pace of the film up, honestly.
To keep the energy up of the
Yeah,
movie. I
yeah.
agree.
And I agree. I think the lighting and the cinematography is fantastic.
Lighting
in this
was
film.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Especially,
lighting's really good.
especially I especially love the hospital scene when the plague
Oh my
shows up.
gosh.
Everything's got that purple kind of glow
Yeah.
to it, and just that whole scene I thought was pretty cool. It totally did not fit the rest of the film. It
No.
came out of left field.
Well,
Well, it's like gothic castle.
I also feel like it changed. Oh man, how do I put it? The lore of the film. If there's a lore to this film,
Yeah.
does it exist in some actually a more of a biblical world? like they seemed like they were spirits. Like they seemed like they were really controlling everything.
They just seemed
Huh?
they just what are you talking about? They just
How'd
seemed,
you get
they
that?
seemed like assassins that
Yeah, but they had like
are-
pictures of Jesus. They
yeah,
had pictures
they're
of
just
this. Like they
immortal
had
assassins.
Been, right, that's what I'm saying.
but
that's
they're
a,
not controlling the
But that's
thing.
a metaphysical thing. Like
Why would they be controlling?
well, because of that
world.
line right at the end, where he says he mentions, well, now that Drake is dead, she needs to take his place.
Right.
No, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he said
he
said
does.
she killed the other one, so now she has to take his place on the plague,
Right.
not Drake.
Oh, right. You're
He
right.
doesn't
Kyle.
replace Drake. He wanted her to replace the other member of the plague that she killed.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's still kind of like a weird
Yeah.
rule, like a metaphysical rule that needs to
I think
exist.
you're right, Mike. I think that that's kind of they were going on that level with the plague because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're grounding this in reality, or we're supposed to think that it's in reality, and then all of a sudden these weird assassin creatures.
I don't
show
think it was supposed to be in. The only part of it was reality was the damn train ride into the town.
up.
After that, it was all out the window. Honestly, but
When-
no, I
when-
heard the rumor. There's a rumor that the idea is that that's who's getting a spin-off of this movie.
Plague.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the plague I think was written as separate characters by a completely different person, and then Jason Eisner incorporated it into the story.
Did you know that?
I'm pretty sure. that's-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they're probably the coolest characters in the movie.
They're very cool.
Yeah, they're pretty
Honestly, they're weird looking. Their armor's so weird looking, but they're badasses.
Again, for $3 million, I mean, they did a pretty good job.
Although I will say this about the plague, that he gives up pretty quickly. He's, no.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, no, she's not going anywhere. Okay. He just walks off. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I heard is there's going to be a spin-off. But I think that was probably the most, I don't want to say the stylistic thing in the movie, but for me, the most stylistic thing I think I enjoyed in the movie.
Yeah, did you like when he was walking down the
hall?
hallway and shooting the
That was
Dude,
pretty
yeah.
fucking
Those were
awesome.
That was badass.
and the bodies were getting pulled up into
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
ceiling.
that was
Yeah.
interesting. And what did they do? They didn't. Why? I don't know. I
They were
felt
just in
bad
the
for
way.
them.
They were in the
were
way.
just like obstacles.
Wrong
I
place,
suppose.
wrong
But they were
time.
running. They were like, ah. And he just
You
like,
don't want to be
we're
anywhere
killing
the plague
everybody
is.
except for the woman behind the glass. We can't get.
I think
past
that
glass.
was kind of like the point behind their name. Like they just kill whatever in their pants.
Well, that's what I felt. I felt it had a very biblical feel. Like that's one of the four horsemen, right? Plague.
I don't know.
You tell me.
I believe so.
don't
It's
know.
like war, pestilence. I think it's pestilence, right?
Pestilence,
Pestilence
famine,
means
and death.
famine and death. Pestilence is sickness, right? Plague and stuff. I think.
Pestilence is sickness.
Yeah. So it kind of had a weird biblical feel. And I'm sorry, but those cross-offs of like Jesus and who was the other? There was a few
Hitler
other,
was up there.
Hitler was up there,
Yeah.
as if they had existed of all time and they had been in the in the background of this whole film this whole time, and they were a bigger part of it all.
Well, I think it's more or less like kind of like the plague as a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure maybe think of it almost like it's a like an order.
It could,
that has
that's what I was
always
gonna say.
existed.
Like,
so they've
yeah.
just always been replacing members.
And why
Right,
does
right.
why does the Drake get to summon the plague? That's what I was kind of curious
because
about.
the Drake has the money.
Just money. That's
Money, power,
That's
and
how you,
fame.
that's how you get the plague on your side.
How's the,
No, a
how's
lot
the
of
plague
coke.
going to keep their How's the plague going to keep their operations going? You
I
know,
don't know.
you know, it's expensive.
Yeah,
to
you got to
keep- to be-
upgrade your armor.
It's it's an expensive operation
Castle
going
I
on
lo-
I
several
love-
thousands of years,
Yeah.
Chris. How do
Think
you
of the
gonna pay
mortgage
for
on that castle. You gotta.
Yeah. Think about how much food that giant octopus squid thing eats.
And how
Yeah,
many?
like where was that all about? There's a
Yeah.
monster in there.
I know.
There's
I
a
know.
monster in there.
They probably had to
Yeah, but
replace
we're-
a ton
yeah.
of coffins
But
too.
we're not forcing anything. We're not doing that.
Dude, it's just fun. It's
actually-
just supposed to be fun.
They were the most fun part of the movie.
But that part doesn't seem forced at all. Like,
And it
what-
doesn't
would
fit.
Name another.
No,
name
the
another film that
octopus
does
felt
that.
like that should be in that scene.
No,
Like,
that's
if
what-
that's going to be anywhere in the movie, it's going to be in that castle. Like,
You didn't find that to be original? Like who does that?
no, that was original. I'll give them that.
Okay,
I'll give-
I
no,
wouldn't
I-
say that's forced at all.
I'm saying the best part of the movie was the plague.
Okay.
Did you feel like you were definitely rooting for the hobo when you watched this film,
No.
Cody? No? Like when
I
he's
did.
getting
I
ready to
did.
buy the lawnmower and the thugs come in and they're like being insane and he decides to pay for the shotgun after he blows everybody away.
Yeah, I
Like,
was really touched by that.
but I mean like that whole scene you weren't like fuck yeah because they were going to kill a baby. They were going to, you know what I mean?
It's all
They
stuff.
needed to be stopped and he was there.
But again, it's all stuff I've seen before.
But to that level, like to that level of
No, it-
intensity.
No, I didn't.
It did feel
It was too cheesy to feel intense.
I will say what it felt like. It felt like that scene in Toxic Avenger.
did.
When they're holding up the burger stand,
taco.
stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did feel like that.
But I
almost
felt even
to a T.
turned up a little higher than that scene.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
They took it to a higher level, but again, like, if I don't care about the main character, like, what, what do I care? And like, by the way, move out of this town.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time understanding why you didn't care about the hobo because I mean, he's the
I had no
him and the
Besides him-
prostitute are
but-
the only two people that have really any goodness to them.
Besides him being just like a straight good guy, what else was there to care about? Like, it's just I like him because he's on the straight and narrow.
He's the underdog.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That is good.
Here's another thing
But
that I would like to talk about.
Didn't reach me in that way at the time of watching the film. So who failed on that one?
There actually is. There actually, I want to take something back.
Go ahead.
There actually are more good people in this film, and they do the exact opposite of what Street Trash does. All the homeless people are decent human beings.
True.
They are. They endear the homeless in this film, where Street Trash makes them seem to be like, just. I mean, obviously with the title of that film
Derelicts
too.
and
derelicts and assholes and just complete.
Yeah, people you don't want to know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I would want to know this guy because look, he's like protecting her the whole time. You know.
He is, and the prostitute is also when I saw that scene where she's getting her head cut
Yeah.
off for the first time, I was literally like, no, don't kill her, don't kill her. Like she was the only, like, it's the only other good thing.
Not me. I was too busy cringing.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough one.
No, it's a tough scene to watch, but because it's so horrific. But it's also like, don't kill her. Like, I don't want her to like, I didn't want her to die.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she didn't. And I'm glad she comes back.
She let a dirty
at the brink of death.
She still loses something though.
She let a dirty, bloody hobo sleep in her bed. I would have been like, "Can you get in the shower first?"
I did think about that. I was
Let's
like,
wash you off.
Just
I do
tuck
feel
him
weird
right
about
in.
how much she had to go through. You know what I mean?
Who?
Like, she's the one
girl?
character that really.
You know what's funny?
I mean, they give it to her the
you
hardest.
never even
they
see
cut off
her
her
as a
hand.
prostitute. Like you don't. It's just understood that
It's understood that she is. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean,
there's
obviously.
no sex really.
Because
at
Rutger
all.
Howard always gets in the way.
It's true.
Yep.
There's good paying customers, and he's always there to foil it.
To fuck it up.
Well, I mean, the way they make it, she's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe that's another biblical thing. Maybe she's like a Mary Magdalene or something like that. I mean,
You're deep into this
Think
Bible
maybe
relationship.
she might be
Going
onto
deep.
It's a
something.
hobo with a shotgun. You think the director was sitting there like, you know what I want to recreate?
Oh,
what?
the writer.
The Bible
The writer is
I mean,
a different
with a
person.
shotgun.
it could be. It could be.
That sounds like a great.
No, I
Grindhouse
do not
movie,
think-
the Bible with a shotgun.
the sequel. The sequel.
He's a sacrificial lamb. He dies at the end for the sake of the rest of the city.
Oh my
Like there
God.
are symbolisms, Christian
Dude,
symbolisms.
You
to
are
this.
making huge leaps
That's my job.
into the deepness
That's
of
what
this
I
movie.
do on this podcast. I take it deeper than it probably should ever go.
way deeper.
I like it because I think you're onto something.
Do you really think he's on something?
Keep spitting fire. Yeah, no, really, I do agree with. I think the writing of this film is better than maybe how you think. it is.
No. I almost the almost part where I thought that they were going that way a little bit was in the very beginning because I thought it was like a barbed wire like crown, but then he's like it's a barbed wire noose.
Oh,
So
Okay, yeah, I
shit.
get
What
you.
when he gets his head pulled off?
yeah,
Yeah.
initially I didn't know it was attached to anything when you look at it because it doesn't look like it is. It looks like a barbed wire like crown,
Mhm.
and then he just puts it over his neck and drives off. And
I will
that's
say
probably the
I will
worst.
say
Head,
that-
that's probably the worst head cut in the movie too.
I
What do you
will
mean?
say that's pretty original. Like the
Yeah.
guy comes
the
around
way-
the corner and he's got a manhole
yeah.
cover bolted to his neck. Like
Who's seen
I've
that
never
before?
seen that
It
one
was
before.
pretty. It was pretty clever. I mean,
And the head rip was that was pretty clever too because I've never seen that before either. But
Did
I
you-
hated the neck of it. It was flat. I don't know if you saw it when the head landed.
Mm-hmm.
The neck part where it was cut was flat, and it just for some reason I caught that and it irked me.
Oh, that was.
I was
perfectly
distracted by
flat
the
cut, yeah.
by the babe dancing and all the blood spraying up in the air.
that was just.
Just get
go-go
down, dude.
dancing.
Like,
go dancing in
Nah,
blood.
I like that shit, man. Like it's weird and it's like where the hell did this come from? But at the same time, thank you for surprising me. That's what I think when I see a scene like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you see it coming?
No, but at the same time, I was like, why?
because they're setting up the mood of the film. Once you see that shot, you're like, okay, I get it now. Like, I know what this film is willing to do. Even go beyond that, I think.
Oh,
as
they
the
do.
film
They definitely go.
progresses.
They definitely go beyond that when they bring a flamethrower into a bus.
School children.
Yeah.
This guy loves killing kids.
That was a pretty modest scene though, because you never.
No, he shot it. As odd as this is to say, he shot it tastefully.
Oh, and by the way, now that we're going back to it, another great metaphysical thing that happens in this film is
The bus-
when he dies and he
Yeah.
goes on the bus and it's like a hell to him.
Mhm.
Like that was a really interesting. Like
Right.
wow, that came out of nowhere. Like when people die, they have spiritual journeys that like take
Slick
them.
played, I think, a more disgusting character than the Drake did.
So weren't you happy when he died?
Well, he was trying to live up to the Drake.
No,
when
I
he got
didn't
shot
care.
in the dick.
I didn't care. I did not care when he died.
Really?
I hated his
No.
character.
But that's why you would
His
care
di-
when he died.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
you're
No, I
like,
hated
fuck
him.
yeah.
No,
You
I
want him
didn't.
to
I
die.
didn't hate his character because I'm like, oh my god, I hate this guy. He's a bastard. I'm like, I hate every word that comes out of your mouth and how you have to play this character. Because it was definitely directed in that direction to play the character that way.
Well, let's.
And it's a horrendous way to play a character. Force it and make it as cheesy as possible.
Hey, I'm the bad guy. Hold on. But do we know that any of these people were ever actually actors? He could have just like. Is
And
Rutger Hauer the only actor?
No, these people are actors.
Are they?
The Abby was actually she was in Treevenge, so I don't know which else she's done. but
Okay,
So, she's
he-
definitely not an actor.
probably not. Probably not.
They are now.
She also was like, I think she was like really young when she did this movie.
She's not the one I'm complaining about, though.
Well, you said all of the acting is terrible.
Except for Rutger Hauer, and hers is.
Well,
bad,
what
but
I'm
it's
saying
not.
is, if they're not actors,
she's the least.
I'll tell you right
terrible out
now,
of the terrible one.
the when the plague comes into the hospital and they start killing off the hospital workers,
Yeah.
those guys aren't actors. I don't think any one of those guys were actors.
Probably not.
I think they were just people that he was like, you can do this. You can
They
do this,
actually
you can
worked
do
at the
this."
hospital.
Could have been. I thought it was funny when that doctor pulled out a gun.
going back to the Beyond.
Yeah, I did. Like
all
doctors-
good doctors have revolvers.
I
on
didn't realize that, but I
Yeah.
guess that's a thing.
It's a thing.
No, they do.
He forced it. He
I'm
forced
just
that.
saying, like, what they do is they play these bad guys, the bad people in the film, which is mostly everybody, up to be so creepy and nasty. Even the cop. Remember the cop trying to take
It's
the
so
prostitute?
cheesy. It's not creepy.
It's so gross and it's so extreme that when Rutger Hauer wields a shotgun, you are like rooting for him.
no,
You're like,
I'm
Holy
I'm
fuck, yeah.
numb to it by then that I don't care. You know where it's going. You know where it's going. It's so blatant. You know where it's going.
What do you mean?
You see where it's going. It's going to 100 gut shots. Could they please shoot somewhere else besides the gut too? Every effect was to the gut, but I actually attributed that to how many deaths can we get in with a cheap budget. It's probably the cheapest thing to do.
Yeah, just to put some squibs on.
Yeah, I mean you can't. A head pop is probably way more expensive than
to
that.
blow a guy's head off.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
understand that.
Going back to are these people actors? Well, it seems like the only one that has any real credits is the guy who played Slick,
Okay.
and
Who I was complaining about.
and he's been in quite a bit.
There you
Oh,
go.
good. Okay, all right.
He was in The Patriot, Small Soldiers.
He's the Patriot.
Yeah. He's got Harriet the Spy is on his credits.
There you go.
There you
Damn.
go.
Another winning
He
film.
came from Nickelodeon,
That's
Cody.
right.
How do you not like him?
He's a veteran.
He's a veteran.
Been in the business for years.
And then a whole bunch of other movies I've never heard of.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, there's not any major star power other than what's been mentioned, and that's fine because
They were no.
When
these,
they- when
if
they-
you're trying to get that
when
type of
they
acting
showed up
style
at the
out of
script-
somebody, then
Yeah,
that's
they were-
probably a good
when
way
they
to
showed up
start.
with the script reading, they were not confused about how they should be acting.
no,
Like,
they were clearly directed in that direction, and I don't agree with it.
ah.
That's what
Oh.
I'm saying. Why?
Gregory Smith, who played Slick, was one of the Martin sons, Thomas Martin.
Who's Thomas
Who's
Martin? There you
Thomas. Thomas was the youngest one that tried to free his brother and got killed.
And what
in
film?
the
The Patriot.
Patriot.
Oh, in the Patriot. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I haven't seen that film
Not
in years.
Not Heath Ledger.
Not Heath Ledger. Slick was definitely not played by Heath Ledger.
So I want to ask Mike and actually all of you guys, Mike, Chris, and Kyle, this since no one knows who you guys are.
I'm Kyle. Hello.
What did you dislike about the film? I mean, I hear a lot of positives from you guys, a little bit of negatives from Kyle. But how do you? What didn't you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna agree with you on like maybe 30 to 40% of the dialogue. I don't want to say forced, but I definitely want to say like stupid. Like there's some stupid dialogue in this film.
Some really stupid dialogue in this
Like
film.
I think the one line that stands out to me for some reason, I don't know why it did, was you can't solve everything with a shotgun, except you can. Like this film shows that you kind of can. Like she takes up a shotgun. That's exactly what she does, and she improves on it too. She takes off the. I don't know why that would improve it in any way. What does she do? She saws off
It
the.
just made it easier to mount an axe to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
with
right.
duct tape.
Oh, it was okay. So I'm like, I don't really. She seemed like that character, her character. What was her name? Molly. Molly.
That's her real name. Abby.
What was Abby?
Abby's the
Okay, so
character's name.
Abby. I don't understand her character arc really. Her arc was she was supposed to be like the voice of reason for the hobo to be like, look, we can do better. We don't have to always resort to violence. And instead, she completely resorts to violence.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird way to take that.
Well, I
Fight
think
violence with violence.
Like
Isn't that like a Warriors type of?
I mean, yes,
situation?
but in a sense, if she's the voice of reason to the hobo, who's, I mean, he's talking about himself being this bear, and like he
Yeah.
uses this analogy that he's a bear, and that he doesn't. You get the impression from him that he doesn't like the fact that he's this way, that he's an animal backed into a corner or whatever. And she's supposed to be the good person, the person that has some sort of pacifism to her, and then she completely makes a 180 and turns into one of the most brutal killers in the film. She kills one of the plague. She gets her hand chopped off.
She makes a lawnmower shield.
Yeah. And then she basically kills the Drake. She basically does. I mean, yeah, the hobo finishes off, but he's done. He's not probably surviving that.
I mean, that's pretty grindhousey though to have the woman be.
Oh, it absolutely
know-
is. I mean, it yes, but it's just such a weird character choice to go with. Like, why wouldn't she at the end kind of be like?
'Cause I think it's because their character finally snaps.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, the whole we actually, and here's another thing: the ending of this film leaves something to be desired as to what exactly happens. Like
Nothing.
Am I to understand that the entire town just fell into chaos and killed
It
themselves?
no, it doesn't. It doesn't change. Nothing changes. Like that's like the. That's,
I don't
no,
know.
we don't.
That's a
know. We
problem I
can't-
have with the end
we
of the
can't-
film.
We can't know that. We can't know that.
we can't because
For
he doesn't
all
know how to end a movie.
I agree with that, and that was a big problem I had. And
Yeah.
I told Kyle this when I watched it.
No,
I
I
said
know.
I hate this ending.
Yeah, and,
I hate the
and
way this ended.
I'd like to think that like because the Drake is dead, like his grip over the town is done. Because I mean,
Yeah.
people were acting the way they were acting because he was basically.
But he also
supporting
makes
it.
But he also makes a point to mention to the hobo, kind of like, even if you kill me, like I bring something to this town, and that's their desire to see this kind of shit. Like he's like Richard
yeah,
Dawson
but
in
he's
The
like
Running Man.
created
He's
that
kind of
desire
like saying
out of fear.
these people
Out of fear
are
and cocaine.
animals.
Out of fear and cocaine, he's created that desire.
Yeah.
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 He's
Okay.
conditioned them.
Definitely.
Right, he has to some extent. So, but how do we know that this town has now gotten past that? How do we know that they don't kill
because
the
the town rose up to support the hobo at the end?
Yeah, but they're all getting shot by the cops.
And
Yeah.
also, we will never
Nothing
know.
changes.
We'll never know because John Davies, who wrote this, wanted to end the movie on a cool line. Like that's probably pretty much what it came down to. You know, just like how can we just end it and just be like, we built it all up to this and it's done.
You're riding shotgun.
Yep. That's, I mean, honestly, like, it's how can we end it on a cool note? We don't need to fucking go and show everybody that everybody's holding hands and fucking getting ice cream in this.
I just
new
feel like there was
town.
no
Like,
actual conclusion. Like it doesn't leave you with the sense that hey, the hobo did it.
Yeah,
He
that's what
did it.
I know. That what I'm saying is like if he is this sacrificial lamb, he's like this weird kind of like messiah in a sense. Like we don't really know that he actually succeeds in any way.
No,
Like
yeah, was
for
it all,
all
was
I
it all
know,
in vain or what? you
which
know?
makes it the
It's
the
a- it's a-
movie pointless.
it kind of does. It kind of does.
I think the idea is to assume that the best because
It doesn't set you up
he
to assume the
killed
best.
He killed the person who had the grip over the town, and now everything will be fine.
No,
That's what you're
it does
assumed
not
to-
give you that feeling. It's the
I
cops are
didn't- yeah.
the cops are holding guns against people.
The cops are holding guns against people, and the
And
people
people
were
hold-
standing up. But I also felt, I mean, other than the monologue that Molly says in front of all the people when they're going hunting on the homeless down.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, that takes a pretty sick society to even follow into that kind of like.
Agreed.
We're gonna. It almost has a fucking. I want to say it, like a Nazi-ish feel to it. That like, they're like, okay, let's kill some hobos. Like, yeah, these are the people that are causing problems, even though they're not really doing anything. They're the problems. Like there's a violence that presides over this entire town.
Right, but the
Drake is just
the town got
influencing.
involved. The town got involved because
he said he was going to kill
Slick was going to
people.
kill more kids.
Yeah.
Slick killed an
he
entire
threatened
bus
them.
of children, and he threatened the town
Sure,
that they don't jump in
but
on
is
it.
he?
So that's,
But is he pushing them to do this? I mean,
Yes.
they're all showing up like it's Thunderdome or something.
Yeah, but
and
if
they're
the
all
whole-
showing up like this is a gladiatorial kind of combat, and they're all kind of taking enjoyment
If the
out
whole
of this.
town stands up against the Drake,
And here's the
he's
question:
not going to kill them all.
do the town people, do the townsfolk, do they take the hobo side because it's good beating evil, or is it because all right, cool, now another death is going to happen, and it's the Drake, like the underdog won, yay? Are they just taking enjoyment out of this? It's just so weird to me.
the fact that they basically pulled their guns on the cops almost so that they came to the hobo's aid.
They do
So
definitely.
they were
but
supporting.
is it because
they were supporting him? They weren't supporting.
But are they supporting goodness, or are they supporting the
I
fact
think
that they're underdog?
I think they're
that he
supporting.
won?
I think they were supporting goodness.
Yeah.
That's
I would
the
hope-
vibe I got.
I would
That's
hope.
the vibe I got. From
I would
the
hope,
film.
but I don't think it was fleshed out enough. I mean, other than maybe
Nothing's fleshed out in this
maybe
movie.
maybe the Molly,
Nothing.
the people do definitely let Molly walk right through and say, okay, maybe we shouldn't kill homeless people.
Yeah.
Like so I guess there is
You
a kind of.
basically just talked yourself out of your. You've just
But
worked
they
it
still
through.
show up to watch the hobo get killed and kind of root for it to happen. They're all like kind of like,
Well, those people, those
"Yay."
weren't the same people from the other scene. Those were all the younger people that were like at the arcade. I felt like that were at the.
So then we have this other group of people.
So you have the
that
group
are
of
assholes.
the adults that were basically going around trying to kill the hobo with the shotgun
Right.
to save the children. Then you have all the young adults, the teenage age kids who are just into being as fucked up and trying to emulate Slick as much as possible. Those were the people that were in the arena area.
That also doesn't speak well for the society if the younger people, the one that are supposed to be the future of this society, are the ones that are riddled and addled with cocaine and they just want violence all the I agree with Cody that ending doesn't leave something to be desired.
Well, the point
Yes.
was made is that just a meaningless hobo can make a difference.
What
And
did he make a difference in, though? You don't know.
He
The
took
ending doesn't-
down the fucking ringleader of this whole operation.
But it doesn't change the feel of the city. What did it accomplish? What did it
I don't know. Do we
accomplish?
ever know that in any story
That's
that plays
true.
out like this?
He's got a good point. We don't ever really know that.
What's that?
That we don't ever really know that the town is forever okay.
Yeah,
Right.
In
I
any of
can't
these
name
stories
one.
where somebody rides in town and kills some oppressor, it doesn't mean as soon as he rides out of town, somebody's not right behind him to do this to basically
Troll
bring
2.
shit right back
Troll
to where it was.
2.
Nilbog was destroyed.
Nilbog was
Like-
destroyed. No one came in and changed Nilbog back into the goblin capital.
I mean, that's definitely a point. You're right. It doesn't say that. I mean,
Yeah.
but you get I guess you can. The only way you can judge it is based on how you view the town. Like, I mean, let's say a movie like Tombstone, where something like this kind of happens, you get the impression that the rest of the town folk are kind of like, we just want the cowboys to leave. Like, these people are really hurting us.
Well, I think I saw that.
Like the
in
Three Amigos, another film. Like, it's
There
just
are
everybody's
flashes.
really good people. Society is good, but they're being oppressed by somebody. In this, I kind of felt like society was an active participant in the oppression. They enjoyed the oppression.
There's flashes of that though.
I think
There's
it was
flashes.
like 50-50.
There's flashes of it. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's like
Well, definitely the homeless people are definitely people that are just like,
Yeah,
leave us
but no.
alone and let us have our families and just
Well,
let us.
and then you had all the people like after they were forced to watch the guy get his head ripped off. Like after Drake and the other people drove away, like you could hear like obvious sobbing and stuff in the background. Like people were
Okay.
noticeably disturbed by being forced
Yeah.
to watch this.
I guess maybe that's something with this film that it kind of fails at. They don't really, you don't get a point of view from, let's say, a random
I agree.
townsfolk where one townsfolk is speaking for the rest of the town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get that in a lot of westerns too. They'll talk like maybe like to a prostitute and she'll be like, "This town is really good, but this guy, the sheriff, is this evil guy or whatever. And if he was just gone, maybe this town could redeem itself." I don't ever get that in this film. I don't ever get we don't get that kind of distance to one of those characters.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Just an average townfolk.
I think
that
a lot of
speaks
it
for the
too.
town.
I think a lot of it too, though, has to go with the fact that, again, it's not 50-50 because I feel like the majority of the citizens in this town are taking part in what's going
I
on.
absolutely agree with that. I feel like it's not definitely not 50-50. I feel like a good majority of the people enjoy this, which is why the Drake makes that point to say, like, they love me. This is like, you don't understand what you're doing. Like, I give these people entertainment. I give these people what they want. He's like Richard Dawson in The Running Man or something like that. He's very like.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's not 50-50 at all.
No, not at all. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Do you kids like school? Hey, I asked you a question. Do you kids like school? Yeah! What about ice cream? Do you kids like ice cream? Yeah! And bicycles? And hobos? I hate hobos.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about Hobo with a Shotgun. Chris, let's get in. Did you have any dislikes? Because you seem like you. I'm not going to give your rating away because I don't know what it is, but it seemed like you like this movie a lot.
I only have one dislike, honestly, and it's
Wasn't long enough.
no, because the film is so high energy. Like for the most part, through the entire movie, it's high energy. When you do get to those monologue scenes, it does feel pretty long. And it kind of slows down the pace of the film for me. A part of me likes it because I understand what they're doing and what they're trying to do, but at the same time, I'm kind of like so jacked up on like everything else that's going on.
You know who agrees with you? All of those babies. Did anybody notice that as he's delivering the monologue, the babies start crying in unison? Like he's like really. Like he's making the babies feel really
I did
bad.
not.
He's stressing out those babies.
Wow, I didn't know.
Listen to it. It starts off, it's all quiet, and they're like, cuckoo, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just a crescendo of just crying. They feel horrible.
I love that.
That's actually one thing I don't have a problem with in this movie is the pacing. Even though I did nod off towards the end and had to rewatch the ending because I was
What ending?
Exactly. That's why I think I had to rewatch the ending too because did it end? But I thought the pacing kept up pretty well, like for the movie. At no point was I was like, well, this is dragging. I don't think it gives you enough time. Even those monologues are not even. I feel like they're not even 60 seconds.
They're
long.
really not even that long. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is I feel like the film is so turned up that when you get there, you're kind of like waiting for the next.
It's funny that cocaine is the big issue because this whole film feels like you're on cocaine.
Right, the
Like,
speed of it.
When,
for sure.
when you start coming down, that's when things start
When the
getting
plague
really
shows
bad.
up.
It gets real bad. Yeah.
Chris, any more dislikes?
No.
All right, guys. So let's rate this bad mammer jammer then. What are we rating it, Mike?
I'm going to go with bears because they're so frightening to me.
We're gonna start
in
off
every way.
We're gonna skip over that.
No, we're gonna start
Just
off
kidding.
with Chris tonight. Chris, how many bears?
I'm gonna give it 5 bears.
Wow.
I knew it.
You're-
Too high.
You're welcome.
Too high.
5 bears, dude. Huge grizzlies. Honestly, I love this film. I liked Revenge. I'm inspired by his style of filmmaking. You know, the dialogue. Oh, that is one thing I didn't mention is I did cringe at a couple lines just because they were just almost too violating in a sense, you know. But but overall, I mean, 95% of it I loved the dialogue. I you know, come from just loving like John Waters films and stuff like that. So over the top for me is always good. Excessive violence and comedy and gore is always fun. It's just fun because you can just tune out and laugh and have a good time with it. And this film does that for me. I wish I could make a film like this, and I hope I do someday.
Okay.
All right. Kyle?
I am going to give it 3 bears. So a little higher than middle of the road, but
Too high.
This movie, I like that he is attempting to tap into an old style of filmmaking with like the exploitation style of films. Does he go over the top with it? Yeah. Does it feel forced in some parts? The acting has some pretty it's atrocious other than Rutger Hauer, really, for the most part. I don't think it's good. And the writing is so-so. I did actually like the pacing, though. I thought the pacing of the film was perfect. There was enough high points and low points to really balance it out. And the gore is fucking awesome.
It's
Yeah,
good.
the
Like,
effects are
The effects
amazing.
are amazing.
They are good.
And yeah, that's all I got to say. It's I own it, so I'm not unhappy that I own it. I just picked it up, so
Yeah.
on Blu-ray. So what the hell?
I'll go next.
3.
I'll go next. So
Can I make a prediction?
yeah,
0.5.
no,
Okay.
no. There's
Middle of the road.
no, there's definitely things I like about this film. Like I said, I like the cinematography for the most part. I like the lighting, the color. I like some of the like Rutger Hauer. I really enjoyed his performance. But the bad outweighs the good for me. Like, just it's the dialogue ruined the film. You could have had a good, decent film here if we would have just spruced up the dialogue a little bit and made a coherent story. The end is just leaves nothing to be desired whatsoever, and it's just not good. As far as style of this guy's style of filmmaking, I mean, yeah, it's cool if you want to rip off everybody else. Like, in my opinion, I think he's really good. He's really good at making fan films. So I mean, there's some solid stuff in this movie. I'm gonna give it 2 bears.
2 bears.
2 bears.
Too low.
2 burrs.
Mike?
Okay, I'm gonna give it 3.5 bears. For a lot of the same reasons that Kyle said. Really, quite honestly, like, yeah, there's some negative things about the film. Rutger Hauer is really good. I actually want to think about. I'm actually thinking about something right now. Rutger Hauer's monologues are probably the only thing that saves the dialogue in this film.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned earlier about the possibility that they were written for Rutger Hauer, but am I not mistaken that in what was that film that Rutger Hauer was in with Harrison Ford, Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, yeah.
That ending monologue, didn't he just completely improvise that in a monologue?
Completely.
Yeah.
Right off
I
the
wonder.
top.
I wonder if this is just him doing it. I mean, this is purely
Could be.
me
It
spitballing right now.
It could be.
because it is
Could be.
his monologues are the only thing that really
They stand out.
Does
they
that make-
stand out. They completely stand
does
out.
that-
They feel opposite, or they feel completely.
I wonder if they
disconnected
just said,
from the
like,
film.
Does
you know,
that
hey,
make the
do a
film
little bit of-
weaker then in your mind? If it
what?
has the possibility of him creating the dialogue himself, if that was not written for him,
What if
and he
what
was
if
the
this,
saving? That would be the saving grace of the movie. Then
either that or
It
the
could
script
be.
could have just said Rutger Hauer improvise.
Yeah, it could have been.
I don't
It
think
could
the
have been.
whole film should rest on whether a monologue was written or improvised. Though I mean,
No,
like,
no,
no.
I'm not saying
We're
that.
not saying
I
that.
just something that came to my head. What,
shut up. You gave
the
it a
things-
5.
Yeah.
the things that I do like about this film are exactly what Kyle said. Like, I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to pay homage to a lot of the films of the days of yore of like
The days of yore.
yeah, the 80s kind of like thing. And I actually do agree. I mean, you and me, Chris, are on this a little bit that there might be a deeper meaning into this film than.
I don't think Chris thinks that at all.
I do.
Yeah.
I
no,
do.
no, I think we.
Yeah,
he thinks it now.
Yeah, he
So-
thinks
Yeah.
that.
No,
Yeah.
I always did because
Before Mike said that, it was
I don't.
blood,
We
gore,
already
comedy.
explained it in the show. We don't need to
Yeah.
Yeah.
recap.
So anyways, 3.5 bears for me, and the half bear specifically because I hate bears and I want to see them cut in half. Maybe
Oh God.
You should make that a bloody half bear.
just kill that bear
Make it a bloody half
All
for
bear,
right.
me,
Chris.
please.
I'll add
Just
a little,
kill that
I'll add
bear.
a couple blood drips.
Make sure it's a
Kill
make
that-
sure it's a polar bear so people get upset.
Well,
All right, guys.
Well, wait for PETA to hear this podcast.
All right, guys, that's our show for this week. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at cultfilm_review. You can follow us on Facebook, just search Cult Film and Review. You can follow us on Instagram at cultfilm_review. You can follow Mike at
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Salustio, and I very rarely write about film at Friendly Neighborhood Film. I can never get it right.
You can't do it.
Why did I have to use a Spider-Man reference?
Friendly neighborhood.
It's like a tongue twister
Neighbor.
sometimes.
Neighbor.
Anyways.
What up, Mabe?
People are gonna find this site one
Maybe.
day. It's gonna be amazing.
Eventually, some people will actually read it, and then I'll
He's
start
just sitting
writing
there
again.
looking at
Yeah.
tracking how many people look at his website. He's like, oh, I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
right.
writing for it, just tracking.
Yeah, just tracking it.
Someone actually figured out what the name of the site is.
Yeah, right. Totally. They finally managed to do it.
Internet, help make friendly neighborhood filmmaking the biggest site on the internet.
Guys, you can find me on Twitter at cultfilmcody. And always send in your recommendations for
Yes.
something for us to watch, please.
Fan picks, please.
We're totally looking for a new fan pick.
Yeah, we love them. We love hearing them because we found some really good films out of it. All right, guys, just remember if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll catch you next week.